We think it's wrong. I think it's a term that's sort of become background noise. People have become numb to deferred maintenance. Oh my God, we got $1 billion worth of deferred maintenance. I think people are just starting to ignore it, and it's just sort of becoming background noise. As well, the majority of what most organizations call deferred maintenance is actually capital, not maintenance, right? It's the roof that should have been replaced 5 years ago, not so much the maintenance that wasn't done on that roof that we're quantifying. And so there's numerous real world examples where using the term deferred maintenance has clouded the story that organizations are trying to tell. And again, we believe that it has become kind of background noise that's easily ignorable. So at Roth IMs, you heard me say it a couple of times during the presentation, that we use the term deferred capital renewal and maintenance. And in fact, our vision is to solve the world's deferred capital renewal and maintenance backlog crisis. We don't really care what you say, as long as you don't say deferred maintenance, because I really do think that it is a term that's not helping us as an industry to truly address the capital renewal needs and maintenance. So like that's why we say capital renewal and maintenance, right? We're not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. We recognize that some of it is maintenance, but we do feel that some type of a term that includes capital renewal is a better definition of the issue at hand, and so we think that that is a better way to present this and help us tell our story. So Billy, I see you coming back again. I'm not seeing any questions, but I don't know if there's any come in or any feedback to my question.
Bill, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now, Billy.
Okay, good. We have quite a few questions here for you. Our AMS
awesome, great.
Did not include structure, footings, exterior walls, slabs, etc. Would an ELI have that?
Yes, it would. Yeah, the ELI would gather information. Again, structure is a little different. We probably aren't going to go to a level 4 with the structure. Go to level 2, level 3 probably. Going to level 4 really doesn't add any extra value. But yes, the structure of the building is a very significant and important element, and that would be included in the ELI.
Okay, thank you. Our next question is, what happens when you have a lot of equipment that is way past end of life, so equipment age is not that useful in assessing replacement priorities?
Great question. So the reason, if you just use the expected useful life, then you're really just doing math, right? And so if something has a 30-year lifespan and it's 35 years old, you should have replaced it 5 years ago, so the recommendation would be to replace it today. The value of having someone come in who under, a professional assessor to come in is they're going to look at that system and they're going to go, okay, yes, it's 5 years past its useful life. What are the maintenance records? Talk to staff that know the element. Does it have regular failures or breakdowns? How much preventative maintenance are you doing on it? Are there issues? Are there performance issues? And so you're going to make an adjustment based on the expertise of your assessor for those items that are just old, right? And if something is just old, if you had unlimited funds, sure, you'd replace it. If anybody has unlimited funds, please let me know, because I'm going to try to borrow some money from you. Because almost everybody has less money than they have. And so that's really where the value of that on-site observation and assessment comes in, particularly where you're collaborating with knowledgeable staff, so that just because something's old doesn't necessarily mean you need to replace it today. You can defer it, but you don't want to defer it too far in the future, because sometimes things will kind of be going along well and drop off. The other side of it is you can have a piece of equipment that is much younger than its useful life, but it's not performing properly. There's lots of breakdowns, there's lots of failures, way too much maintenance, and so you may also bring things forward in time. Hey, that should last another 5 years, but man, it's breaking down all the time. The assessor may decide to bring that forward. So when you get beyond math is really where that, and again, that really works in the first 6 or 7 years, because as I said before, the best HVAC person in the world can't look at a boiler and go, I think that's going to last 12 or 13 years. We're going to default to life cycle, and if you're assessing on a 5-year cycle of assessments, you're going to see test that boiler at least twice before you hit that 12 or 13 years that I talked about.
Okay, it looks like the rest of our questions are responses to a question that you asked the audience, so I will forward those to you to take a look at.
Awesome.
So, let me
Thank you. Yeah, sorry, when we're having issues, I just thought I'd try to engage, so that's all good.
Well, you have some good responses here. The next question is, what is the appropriate ratio of maintenance cost to the asset replacement value?
So the industry standard is basically 2 to 4% for maintenance and or capital. The challenge with that benchmark is that it typically, the idea is that if a building is going to last years, right? You put aside 2%, and over the course of 50 years, you've set aside enough money to quote unquote replace the building. The problem with that is we're not starting from a brand new building, right? So we're starting from buildings that are, you know, on a university campus, we could have buildings that are 100 years old, we could have brand new buildings. And so, you know, again, if you're looking for kind of a benchmark, 2 to 4% is typically what, you know, IFMA, APA, other organizations would recommend. But it works best when you're starting on day one, a brand new facility, not a campus that has buildings of all different ages, many different renewals, that sort of thing. Most organizations don't fund to 2 to 4% currently, and are, you know, we've seen some that are at like half or less.
Okay. Next question is, how do you capture the existing hazardous materials such as asbestos?
So in a condition, well, in a pure condition assessment, how we would capture that is we would rely on the client, if they have a hazardous materials survey or an asbestos survey, to provide us with information about known asbestos containing materials. So we would take, you know, hey, look, there's a boiler, it's got asbestos on it, and we're going to adjust the cost of the replacement of that boiler because we have to factor in the abatement of the asbestos. So we would use a factor or a cost line to increase the replacement cost of that boiler or that vinyl floor tile or whatever the case is. Now, if you don't have it, you know, we can integrate a hazardous materials or asbestos survey with the condition assessment. That would sort of be done in parallel. It's two different sort of skill sets, two different disciplines. But in that particular case, what you really want to have in a perfect world is quantities of the known asbestos, right? If you've got a survey that has quantities, then we can use unit costing and other things like that to come up with fairly accurate numbers. If we don't have quantities, we can make some assumptions. But we really need to have some type of a lab test to say, yes, that is asbestos, because not everything, you know, there are certain things that you can look at and you pretty much know are asbestos. But for the most part, we want to rely on an asbestos or a hazardous materials survey to supplement the condition assessment and layer on those additional costs to the replacement recommendation cost.
Okay, and our next question is, any best practices or models on visualizing and reporting on facility condition data sets?
So yeah, I mean, so a lot of they say a picture is worth 1,000 words, and in facility infrastructure asset management, a picture can be worth $1 million. And so if you're dealing with non-facilities folks, which most of us are dealing with educators or boards or academics and things like that, they're not facilities folks, so they don't care about uniform, they don't care, you know, hopefully they know FCI and they care about FCI. But we really recommend that you want to be able to visualize your data set as much as you can. Visualize the impacts of different levels of funding. Visualize how your needs break down over a longer period of time. One of the best ways that we've seen, particularly on campuses, is if you've got a GIS set up, then we'll do what we call an FCI heat map. So we'll create categories of FCI, you know, very good, good, fair, poor, that sort of thing. And you take a campus and you, through your GIS, you just color code your buildings the different colors. So it's a real quick and easy way to pull up a map and go, okay, the red, you know, dark red is really bad, green is good, so on and so forth. So that's a way that we work with a number of campuses at, you know, putting together executive level presentations. But a lot of it is taking from a university campus, thousands, tens of thousands of lines of data, turning it into easy to digest pictures, and then being able to run one of the powerful things is running funding scenarios, right? Here's our FCI, it was up to the right. What if we get this amount of funding? What if we get this amount of funding? What if we get this amount of funding? So that you can start to, so your stakeholders can start to understand, hey, up and to the right is bad. How do we bend this curve back down so we don't get any worse, or we get less worse, or ideally we get better?
Okay.
Any other questions, folks?
That looks like that is the last of our questions for today. So, Bill, I want to thank you again for a fantastic webinar, as always, and thank you again for your very limited schedule that I know and busy travel schedule you have. So, thank you so much for being with us today. And to our attendees, as always, thank you so much for your valuable time being with us today. So until next time, be safe, stay healthy, and let's be kind to one another. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thanks, Billy. Thanks, everybody.